You never want to be the subject of the biggest story, the scandal going into the games.
I'm Dale Manucdoc from the CBC Olympics digital studio. Joining me now is CBC sports reporter Devin Heroux on the ground in Paris. A bombshell morning, Devin. Let's get right to it. The Canadian Olympic Committee imposing sanctions on the women's national soccer team. What do we know, sir?
Dale, wonderful to talk to you. You said it, bombshell, no doubt. I think I've heard shocked, disappointment, embarrassed as well. It's been a wicked, 12, 24 hours in France for the Canadian women's soccer team. The sanctions you mentioned being imposed, two Canadian coaches, part of the staff here, being sent home. And this, of course, all stems from now we're learning two incidents in which Team Canada flying a drone above New Zealand's training, obviously trying to get information, spying on their practices. You just can't do that. And so the two coaches, the video analyst and assistant coach, immediately sent home to Canada. And important to note, head coach Bev Priestman voluntarily removing herself from coaching in the opening match, of course, against New Zealand tomorrow. Listen, this is not the way you want to start an Olympics as the defending champions. It's put a dark cloud over this entire team going into the tournament. I've been hearing from people here and from back home. Like I said, they're disappointed about this, Dale. They can't believe it would happen. And in a lot of ways, what I'm hearing is it sort of feels completely un-Canadian to be doing this going into games of such significance. So we'll continue to track this story. But like you said, a bombshell development here just ahead of the games.
Yeah, Devin, as I was coming into the station here in Toronto this morning, this was all the chatter. So I can imagine it's the same thing for you in Paris. What are you hearing on the ground reaction-wise from Canada Olympic House or other athletes, other people?
You're hearing from international journalists here. You never want to be the subject of the biggest story, the scandal going into the games. There always seems to be a few of them going into the Olympics. Canada has certainly dodged them at times over the years, but this is the biggest story today at the games. I've been hearing from international journalists. I was hit up by the BBC to talk about this as well, other radio networks. So people are talking about it. I think the Canadian Olympic Committee is just trying to wrap their head around what unfolded. It should be pointed out that the Canadian Olympic Committee took very swift action. They were leading a lot of the conversation throughout all of this. And I think that's a great sign, Dale, because the thing of it is, Team Canada has always stressed fair play, specifically when it comes to doping, but across all boards. This, quite simply, was cheating. They're not going to stand for it. They took swift action. We heard from Canada's Sport Minister, Carla Qualtrough, who says she supports the sanctions as well, sending home the two people directly tied to this. So this is going to follow this team, unfortunately, throughout the entire tournament. I believe it's going to somewhat stain a bit of their performance, whatever happens here. So really a disappointing day start, really, for Team Canada.
Thank you for the update on that, Devin.